My fellow Americans, it is time to take our freedom back. Good morning.
It's not morning.
It's afternoon.
People watching don't know that. We want to make them think that we get up really early, like 4 in the morning. We're doing these things at 4 a.m.
We're working on it.
You know?
Then it'd be real quiet. Everybody be drinking coffee.
That's right.
Yeah, Carlos is drinking whiskey at 4 in the morning.
It's a real man right there.
Little hair of the dog.
So we have a special guest again. I like having guests. This is cool.
Yeah.
You know,
Takes the pressure off.
and they get prettier every time.
They do.
You know,
Most of them are smarter than us.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Rebecca Walker.
Hello.
Nice to have you.
Howdy.
Thank you. Oh.
Who are you? Tell us who you are and what you're
close-
doing.
Stay close to that
Move it
so we can hear
whenever
you.
You can
My
move it to you.
superpowers are. I'm just kidding. Is this good?
There we go. I
All
can
right.
hear you.
I don't know. What do you want?
Well, tell us
start?
tell us why you're here. How do we find you? How do we?
Woody found me.
Yeah, well, the first time I heard Rebecca's story was at Lani's gym. She came for a candidates night, and they had us kind of go around the room, talk about ourselves and how we got involved. And she just told a story about down south when she was down. Was it L.A. that you?
Orange County.
Orange
But,
County.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll tell it way better than me, but this is kind of how she got active in politics.
Yeah,
and
and I feel like Rebecca Walker's a name that's been really active in this group, in this movement here for the last 6-8 months or whatever. Because I see her name on social media all the time, and we talk on social media and we interact. So I feel like I know her. But then it's like, wait, where's she come from? who is she?
Let's put a name to the face.
That's
But
right.
but as I've done my homework now, we know that she's really important because she's an activist who's actually doing something. So you got a little bit involved with this movement when school started to do certain things, right? Everybody has their trigger, but this was your trigger, was the sex ed in schools.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known public education was going down the hill, but I had my business down south, and I just couldn't do the homeschool thing. And then I first heard about the new sex ed curriculum, the California Healthy Youth Act, AB 329, I believe, and by the activist mommy, which is Elizabeth Johnston. I think she's like over in somewhere, Alabama or somewhere else. And she had said she was going to do this sex ed sit out, and it kind of grew from there. It was supposed to be something local, and then other people joined in. And I was only one of 2 people in the entire state of California that did it. There was one in Sacramento, and then one that I did in Orange County, and I did it at the Garden Grove Unified School District office. And I didn't know if anyone was going to show up. I was like, it was kind of last minute, and I didn't have like a group of people or anything. I just did on my own. I said, I don't care if I stand alone. I'm going to stand out there with a sign.
Spontaneous. That's the way to get it done. Just if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yep. So I actually didn't have to stand alone. A lot of moms did show up with their kids, and the whole point was to pull your kids out of school that day. Make sure you call the school and tell them why, so it's unexcused, so they lose money, because that's all they care about. It's like when you go to the meetings and
It's
try to talk to
$30
people.
a day per kid in a seat.
Yeah, so that was the plan, and so from there, that's when I met Stephanie Yates, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I love what you're doing! Like, I just started this group called Informed Parents of California. I'd love for you to help me admin it and be involved." And I said, "Sure," and then it just grew from there, and now it has 53,000 plus members with thousands pending approval to join.
That's so awesome.
So.
And think about that. That's all because one person decided to say, hey, I'm going to do something about this.
Yeah.
We can sit here, we can complain and bitch to each other all day long. And so often we end up in these echo chambers where we're like, okay, what are we actually going to do?
Yes.
Who's going to get people together to stand up and act? So that is great. And this thing with schools is ridiculous. We're talking about this, and we're in this dilemma right now. What we're going to do next year for our kids. We enrolled them in a private school, but now we're having second thoughts because a private school might actually have a mask mandate where the public schools might lift theirs. So we're going to take our kids to wherever is more free. But then the topic that comes up is, what are they going to be teaching our kids? I think everybody in this room either has
Common Core,
or has at one
gender
point had small children.
fluidity, gender
Yeah.
neutrality. You know, they're going to teach all kinds of stuff that it would blow your mind if you're not involved in what they're actually teaching your kids, which I homeschool my kids, but if I do research quite a bit what they're teaching in schools, and it's blowing my mind, man. They're teaching.
Why would they want to teach that to kids? I mean, that's what you have to ask yourself.
They're
Why?
teaching racism now.
They
What
wanna
is it? They're
change
teaching
the whole next generation. That's why.
Yeah. What was the exact? So talk a little bit about that curriculum.
California Healthy Youth Act.
Yes. Yeah.
What do they call it?
So
Critical
glad
race
this podcast
theory.
says explicit
Yeah,
because
we'll
it's
get to
very
CRT
explicit.
in a second.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that, but this is something else, right?
Yeah,
Just
for
that-
sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this
I
is
wanna
a
hear
lot
that.
of people think that if like when I first moved back up here to Shasta County, I had parents tell me, "Oh, that's not going to happen up here." And I said, "You don't understand. It's California. It's state
Right,
mandated.
Yeah.
And it's mandated once in junior high and once in high school, but districts can choose to implement it anytime they want and as many times as they want, all the way down to kindergarten. And they're teaching kindergartners how to masturbate. They're teaching junior high and high school how to use sex toys and what website you can go to get them. And then if you can't afford the sex toys or don't have access, they tell you which vegetables to use and how to use them. They teach the kids about dental dams, about flavored condoms.
That's not in the curriculum.
Yes, it is. My stepdaughter, she's going to be a senior now. In her freshman year, she went through it. And I said, bring the curriculum home because parents are not believing me. She brought the paperwork home that she was not supposed to keep. And I told people it's happening right here in our conservative little area. I keep telling you guys.
At what age?
She was in freshman.
So,
See, I don't think
so
it's
it's
teaching
not
at any age. I don't think it's appropriate.
No.
That's not school's job to teach my kids that. You know?
Not at all.
Reading,
So-
writing, math.
And they're showing the
Is it-
graphic images in these books. They're showing cartoon characters of a boy on top of a boy naked.
That stuff
And
is just taught to
it's
like
pornographic.
way younger than that.
That when the
So-
news reported on it, they had to blur out the images and they couldn't even repeat because they would get fined.
So
was
this
against-
information that they're teaching to our children isn't public. Like you can't go to a website and look at it.
So then I went to the Garden Grove district and I said, I want to see this
Yeah.
stuff.
Curriculum,
And
yeah.
they said that they're only going to have one night, or sorry, daytime. So while parents are working, and they only gave you like a certain amount of time. I want to say it was like a couple hours. And you couldn't possibly even get through all that in a couple hours. And the fact that they wouldn't release it public, you could not take photos. They would not let you use your camera on your phone. They wouldn't give you any copies. Like you could just kind of go glance at it, and that's all they would allow you. And they always give you the runaround. It's pretty bad.
And nobody wants to take responsibility for it either. Nobody's gonna say, "Hey, I wrote that curriculum. It was mine."
Well,
my
some
idea,"
nitwit might, but yeah, nobody
But
locally
it's
here.
it's a lot of passing the buck, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, oh well, it's just a state. Yeah, it's just the powers that be.
So so up here for parents, if they're hearing this, they're probably like me. My mind wants to explode. You'd go directly to your school and say,
Yes.
"Are you teaching this?
Yep.
And can I view this?"
Not can I want to see the curriculum, all the curriculum. And this is the other thing you have to ask. Make sure you ask not just the curriculum for the kids, but what the teachers are using, because they have the teacher resources that they don't always give for the kids. So you need to ask for both.
They're,
And is that our right?
the
We get to
teachers-
That
see
is
this?
a right, but
That
they will
is a
give you the
right.
runaround and they'll try to, water it down.
So
or
on the
leave stuff
activist side of things, if your kid is enrolled in public school, do this tomorrow. Like do it as soon as you can get them and they're in their office.
Yeah.
We need to start beating on doors and
I
go,
agree.
"Hey,
Don't wait till
show
the
it
kid
to
comes home
me."
complaining.
No, that's too late
sure.
if they're showing pornographic images.
Yeah.
To whatever age deemed appropriate.
It depends on the district. And so that's why it's really important for people to run for the school board. That's where those are the ones who approve
Yeah, we've been saying that.
what is being taught.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
But either way, from the state, it's mandated.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are state standards.
But they have different curriculums that they can choose. Some are lesser of the evils.
So that would be the Office of Education, which is state controlled, and you have
So
your
like-
own board of each school. But the school has more control. They have the right to say, you know what, we don't want to go with this LGBTQ and gender neutrality and gender whatever it is, you know what I mean, and critical race theory and all this stuff that just teaches all the opposite of what you'd want to tell your kids. And
You can also choose who gets to teach it. For instance, at Central Valley High School, Planned Parenthood came in and taught it.
Oh, Jesus.
And of course, they're telling you can come get an abortion. You don't tell your parents. It's free. We'll take you there. We'll pick you up and drop you off, So
the charter school in Cottonwood, they have school 4 days a week, and then on Fridays it's kind of homeschool.
Yep.
And so any of that kind of curriculum, they send home on Friday. So if the parent wants to teach that stuff, it's on them. The school
Wow,
kind of washes their hands.
That's a good
that's the way
way
it
to do
should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, this started in the 90s. Well, really way before that, but Howard Zinn got real popular in the 90s. I don't know if you guys have read him at all. Super prolific writer and thinker, you know. In fact, I kind of appreciate and, you know, I like his writing style.
Or is he at least honest?
He's very honest, but a complete liberal lunatic.
Yeah, well,
you know?
at least if he's honest, I respect that more than.
But the movement,
hidden agendas.
but he started the entire movement of, hey, here's all the lies that you've been told by your teachers, you know, and the revisionist history movement, right, where they're trying to take everything we've ever learned or known about our history and turn it completely upside down, do a 180, because there's an agenda. You can't change history. Here's what people don't understand: you cannot change history. What's happened has happened. Let's report it. Let's tell it. Let's teach it the way it happened, and then let's learn our lessons from it. You know, I think attaching critical thinking to history, to the teaching of history, is a really important thing.
Did you just say critical thinking?
Yeah, critical thinking. Yeah, absolutely. So you take an event that
Like
happened in
you said,
history.
That's a curse word.
No, yeah.
Nowadays.
Yeah, I know. Well, you can't. They don't want anybody to think critically. So you take an event that happened in history, and then you tell students to think about it critically and how it applies and how it's to today and how it's formed who we are today.
Yeah.
That's teaching history. But nowadays, it's all an agenda. It's because they want you to be ashamed of being a white male. They want you to be ashamed of being a white female. You know, and
then they want everybody else to feel like a victim.
Well, it's a victim mentality.
I'm just saying, but any man doesn't want to feel like a victim. Anybody I talk to, it doesn't matter what race you are. Like, it doesn't matter. Who wants to be the victim?
Sure.
Only the weak.
I sure don't.
Wait, there's a lot of people who want to be victim.
Well, I'm sorry. Who?
Well, this is the weakest society we've ever seen. It really is. By far. And I know every generation has said that about the next. Every grandparent has complained about the kids and the grandkids, you know, being weaker and softer. But I think we're in a situation
Do you remember
right now
when we used to joke about how every kid gets a trophy participation? We used to joke about how they turn out and now look.
Well, this is how they turned out. You're right.
Now
you're
we're
right,
running the country.
We're about 10 to 15 years after that. So now we're seeing the result of these kids that have grown up. You know, well, what do you mean I don't win? What are you talking about? You know?
Yeah.
My son, Rory, you know Rory pretty well, but he went somewhere and did something and they gave him a trophy when he didn't deserve it. He says, I don't want your stupid trophy.
That was
He goes,
Chance.
I didn't win. No, my son did it too.
Yeah.
Your son did it?
In jiu-jitsu, he lost a match and, you know, they gave him a medal or something like that. He took
Rory
it and threw it. He tossed it. And I was like, hey, you can't do that, dude. I was like, you got to be a good sportsman. He's like, nah. You know. I was
Dude,
like,
Rory just did the same thing.
I guess I never taught him to lose, you know.
Yeah.
Jeez. But no, you're right. But this is the difference between kids who understand the value of losing, because there's value in losing if you hate it, right? Like I said this the other day when I was teaching jiu-jitsu last week, and I told the class, I said, look, you will never become a winner unless you really hate to lose. But we've made losing okay. We've made losing perfectly acceptable now, where we tell kids, oh, you just got to be a good loser.
When I lose, I figure out a way to win. I'm like, how am I going to win?
You show me a good loser, I'll show you a loser. You know?
You remember the times
He's
in
used to
PE,
it.
you got to pick who you line up, and you got to pick who's on your team. You don't want to be last to be picked.
Yeah.
So you step your game up. If it's basketball, you start practicing at home. You know what I mean?
Thank you for saying that. You step your game up. No, you step your game. You're
You're like, I don't want to be last.
or I get out of line. You know, oh my God, this ain't my deal. You know, if it's basketball, I'm out.
Dodgeball?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man.
Holy
This does go way back. I remember in sixth grade here, and my mom had told the school, hey, when you start teaching evolution, you are to pull my child because we do not believe in that. We're Christian. And so when the time came, the teacher did not pull me. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, crud. We're teaching evolution. I'm supposed to be going to the library. She hasn't said anything. Did she forget? My mom's going to kill me. I don't want to learn about this. So I finally just raised my hand in front of the whole class because that's what everyone's afraid of. You know, what are all your peers going to think? And long story short, she sent me to the library, left me there all day through recess, through lunch. When you're a kid, that's a long time. Sure. I was always hungry, you know, but I was a bookworm, so at least I was lost in a book. But then finally she sent a student to come get me and said, ooh, you're in trouble. You ditched class today. And I was like, what? So I'm crying, walking in the office like, ooh, I didn't, I swear to God. And they call my mom, and I'm scared of my mom. So I'm like,
It's a healthy
I'm going to
fear,
get in so much trouble. And then she immediately, she's an adult, knew exactly what was going on and raised hell. Was like, oh, no, you didn't. Like, I know exactly what this is about. So then all of a sudden, so I didn't get in trouble, but my grades started failing. She started failing me. So my mom ended up having to switch me into another classroom with a different teacher. Fast forward to ninth grade, history class. Don't even know why this subject was brought up in OK, but we started on the topic of abortion. And I was the only one in my class who was defending life.
And this was here in Reading?
Yes, this is Central Valley High. This is Deer Creek, and now it's called, this is how old I am, geez. Deer Creek, and now it's called Shasta Lake Middle School, I think. And then Central Valley High School, same name.
Yeah.
So, I just remember like students were standing up in their chairs, probably 3 or 4 of them, like literally shouting at me, trying to defend killing babies. And I'm just like in my seat, like trying not to cry, because that's like my biggest passion, my heart. Yeah. And I get sent to the office for disrupting the class.
Sure.
So this goes way back.
I wouldn't have a problem with them teaching evolution and the Big Bang Theory if they gave creation equal time.
Yes.
Yeah, as a theory.
So you get to decide as a kid sitting there. You get to listen to everybody's story, but to just force evolution down people's throat and not show the other side. It's kind of like in the schools. My girls are out of school now, out of college, but when they were in junior high, the curriculum was on Islam in social studies. A huge, long, it was like almost a month long of what a great guy Muhammad was, and went over how peaceful Islam is. And then it was like 3 days of Christianity or 2 days, kind of like and it's, so you can see they have an agenda, right? Any attack on Christianity or pro-American,
they want to take God out of the equation.
Yeah.
They just want to get rid of it because it gives us power when we actually believe in something, and we know, I don't just believe, I know for a fact that there is a creator, but I'm not going to tell anybody, what they need to believe in, but it does give you a power source that they're trying to take away, when you believe in something bigger than yourself. And
it's important, and even George Washington we've talked about this before, where Washington talks about the Constitution. He says this Constitution isn't good except for a religious and moral people. So, if you don't believe in a power higher than yourself and you think you are the
it makes no
authority,
sense.
It really doesn't make sense.
There's no bottom line.
No.
Well, and that speaks to some of why this whole movement's going, is you don't have that morality behind the scenes in leadership. That, we can only hold people accountable so much, and there's still going to be activity behind closed doors. But if you're not answering to a higher power, then you can just keep pulling that.
Yeah.
We can all are smart enough to pull things past the next person. But what's the real bind there? The real bind is that conversation with God. That is the bind. And that's important.
It's when no one else is looking, God is always looking. So who are you trying to please?
Yeah, and it's not shameful or guiltful or anything else. It's just that's the way we're wired. And that's how the Constitution was held. That's how those men handshake deals didn't have to have escrow documents that are this tall now.
Right.
Because there was trust.
Yep.
That there was morality on the other
yes,
side.
And your no be no.
It's that definition of integrity is doing the right thing when
nobody's looking.
Nobody's looking.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of leadership we need.
And have
representation we need.
Yeah.
I had a girl correct me on social media, and I loved it. It was after the last episode, and I had said on there that we didn't hold our leaders to any standard. She goes, "Man, I love what you guys are doing, but I wish you wouldn't call them leaders. They're our representatives."
Yeah, it's good.
That's a good point.
It is. It is.
Yeah. They're not even that.
No, they're
elected officials.
Yeah, but we want to get it back to where they are some sort of a leader, right?
Yeah.
They do carry those traits that we're all looking for.
Sure.
I think a lot of that stems from the fact that leadership doesn't exist like it used to anymore. Like kids don't have heroes. Kids don't have people to look up to. Mentorship is not something that exists anymore.
They're all
like
fake.
it used to,
These cape wearing freaking fakes on Netflix or whatever freaking TV show. I don't watch none of this
Nickelodeon and all that
You can't
crap.
find anything good anymore. No. That is
So who are kids to look up to?
Right.
And it's funny. So last night I came home and my son Jots, he's almost 16 and he's watching Family Matters. You remember that, Steve Urkel, and all that. And I was like, this is pretty cool. So I sat there and watched it for a while with him. I was like, these shows actually were really nice shows to watch. Good family shows. They taught you a lesson. It's a good family. Now you just don't see it anymore.
There was a moral compass there.
Yeah. So, something, and it's just clean entertainment.
Right.
Now it's like everything has some kind of subvertive message.
It's funny. My family's been watching Little House on the Prairie together.
Is that right?
Love it. My kids love it.
It's cool.
And it's like, that wasn't that long ago, and now that actually got banned.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
Was it racist?
The books were banned.
Oh, man.
Out of
with
schools.
Dr. Seuss. They're in the band pile.
Yeah,
So-
they were in the band pile. And one guy went on a rant about it, but it's just funny because here you go.
Little House on the Prairie got banned.
The books.
Why?
I can't remember the exact details on it. Why I couldn't answer.
They might have
that.
said red man in there.
Well, yeah, I think it was.
Wagon
It was
burner.
considered.
Well,
it was
it's like
labeled
Tom
racist,
Sawyer, right? Huck Finn.
Yeah.
But it was that time. It stamps that era.
I think it was the frog that they killed in episode 7.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Somebody
just joking.
ran over a frog with
On
a
accident.
This is
but-
what
Yeah.
this is what we live in, though. You know, I heard a term yesterday called, or I read about it, structural racism. Have you guys heard about this now?
I have heard of
No?
systemic.
Structural.
Not structural.
No, I mean like literal structural rate. So they're saying at the White House, you know, that they're talking about, you know,
Biden's a racist. I'll agree with
Capitol,
that.
the Capitol building. No, they're talking about the buildings being racist because they glorify the accomplishments of white men.
Wow.
The rotunda.
Oh,
you know,
you mean like
at the Capitol.
structures as in
Structures.
actual buildings?
Actual buildings. Structural racism.
Yeah.
I mean, the White House is white. so-
Yeah.
Wow.
No, yeah. I know.
just-
There you go. I
right.
know. Well, on certain nights, I think they put rainbow overlay on
Yeah.
it, don't they? Or something
Yeah.
like that.
Let's just make the White House a rainbow paint job. You know what I'm saying?
God,
And
if it was left up to
we just
them,
get
I
over that.
guarantee
I'm
you.
glad to hear they're putting God back in the White House. The rainbow stands for his promise.
But here's what's funny too. Like they're talking about
Right.
that, and then we have this. What was the name of it? California Health.
California Healthy Youth Act,
Right. Which-
8329.
STDs, you know, teenage pregnancies, teenage suicide, all these things are going up.
For Mike,
Yes.
but closer.
So to label something like that, and we're putting all this time and effort into these distractions, you know, the core things of actually making your kids more healthy, more ready for life, all those components, they're not happening. That's a lie. That title is a lie.
Yeah.
Because it's not
Well,
perpetuated.
that's what
It's
the
like we
devil
talked about
does.
the
He
war
likes
on
to
drugs.
slap a pretty label on something very evil and sinister
Right,
and
and then
ugly.
they can get it through, and then not show you what it actually is, and then 5-10 years down the road, when you wake up, all of a sudden there's an influence over a youth, and then you're looking at them like, where'd you come up with that? And it could be your kid in your own house because you can't even keep up with these things.
Yeah.
Let alone structural racism. Like,
Well, I remember as a kid, like we watched sports, and you know, even guys in movies and actors and actresses, you sort of looked up to them for something beyond what their skill was, right? So if it was a baseball player, you kind of looked up to them because they carried themselves a certain way.
Right.
They were leaders.
Michael Jordan
and they knew that,
was that
kids
way.
were watching them. you
Yeah.
know, and that was
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Eli, you want to pull up the image here, please?
oh, you got an image?
Yeah, Eli, got it.
He's working on it.
That's a cool image.
Well, I've been thinking about that a lot. Like, what are the athletes and like
Oh, they don't
actors that
care.
we looked up
It's
to?
all about money now and how much
Yeah.
their contracts are, and there's nothing there substance wise. I mean, this is what we're at now. And if you guys don't understand the context, this is probably the
Hammer
most,
thrower.
Yeah, the hammer thrower. This is probably the most viewed image today. It's been all over the news, you know. So, Gwen Berry there on the left.
So what were they competing in? I don't even know.
This is hammer throwing. It's track and field.
Hammer.
It's like a
throwing.
little ball with a rope on it, kind of. And
Yeah.
you throw it. I mean,
track and field.
So-
Trent.
Just turning her back on the.
I'm sure she's an incredible athlete, but here's the deal. So in this picture, the anthem was playing, the American anthem, the U.S. anthem, and she decided to turn. She actually said afterwards she was pissed that the anthem played. You know, so here's the deal. If you can represent a country, but you hate their anthem, you hate the way of life,
hate their values.
you hate the flag,
Yep.
right? She said the anthem's never represented me, the flag's never represented me. You know, then why you represent this country?
Yeah, I have no
You know,
idea.
as an athlete.
And
So,
I would say she's had an opportunity because
Yeah.
of this country right there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
the country that
Absolutely.
gave you exactly
the freedom of speech
The
to be
chance
as
to be there.
disrespectful as you are
And
being.
to have that platform to even make it there to the Olympics.
Yeah. No, I would
Third
boot her off the
place.
team right then. That's,
Yeah.
You start.
I
booting
thought
them
she
off
was
the
mad
team,
because all
that'll
the
end
people in
it.
the background wearing masks.
or maybe because
That's
she
what I
lost
thought.
the girl next to her. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? But this is what we're facing now. So who
Yeah.
do our kids have to look up to now? You know, this is what they have to look up to. The Megan Rapinos of the world, right?
poor
A
sports.
local girl who, you know, is using her platform to educate people, but the wrong way.
I think she's really more ticked off that the little short chubby girl beat her. You see, she's on a higher
Woody,
platform.
that
so
is fat shaming
is.
stupid.
Oh, sorry.
I think she believes in God, though. Look at her. I just feel like she
She's
believes
singing it.
Better edit that.
Hey, so
believed in America and believed in God.
Hey,
So that's what I'd
that
like to do,
girl
like-
won. Okay, Woody. So
That's what I'm
come on.
saying. Though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. Look at the two of them. You would never guess that she could throw a hammer further.
Because she's
than-
white.
But here's what we all get drug into a little bit,
Racist.
right? That's what becomes popular.
Yeah.
Focus on the winner.
Right.
Look at she's singing.
That
she's
girl
proud.
has, she has a story. She has, you know.
And I would imagine she loves her country. Look at
Yep.
that reaction. She's happy to win.
Sure.
And then we're all focusing on
Yep.
Guess what?
Exactly. Thank
gets
you.
She gets the whole story, right?
That's why
Right.
I try not to repost all this kind of stuff because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to give them the attention.
Right.
That's what they want.
Right.
That's what they're doing it for.
It's important.
Yeah,
That's
but
important.
but it's worth addressing because
Yes, it is.
Because
It
again,
is.
this is what our kids are seeing. This is what they're being bombarded with. On social media is these images, these stories. That make the white person look bad. And the person of color is always going to be the victim. They're always going to be right, owed something, right? And I'm like, enough's enough. We said this in last episode. Last time we got together. Let's get rid of this race stuff.
Yeah.
Let's stop identifying by race.
We got to get rid of critical race theory. All this, they're teaching racism.
I know.
They're telling you not to be racist.
Yeah.
And, there's that old term, everybody can play in the sandbox until somebody tells you nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares about race. We would all get together.
They teach it to you.
They teach it to
It's
you.
a construct. It is
And
a
then
construct.
they push it in the media. They push it in the schools. They push it in the movies. Every single thing you do is cramming all this BS down your just downloading it just nonstop.
Sure.
And unless you're willing to break out of the matrix, or you've been able to break out of the matrix and just see through all that crap, you can see it for what it is. But
And back to these athletes too. I remember reading an article when Montana was just towards the end of his career, and he was making the second most next to Michael Jordan, just from ads and sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. And I think he was making $5 million a year playing football, and he made $45 million, doing commercials. And Jordan that year made like $70 million doing commercials. And Montana said, he goes, you know what? There should be a base salary for sports, $1 million. That's all you're ever going to make. And then you make the bulk of your income off what you're selling,
Sponsorships.
and you're not going to get sponsorships.
Your message.
Back then, at least, if you were
Right.
acting like a Honiak, right?
Right.
But now you got
you
companies
keep it
like
clean.
Nike and Apple and
Yeah,
all these.
it's a little different now, but I think you would still do better. if
Yeah.
you were
Oh, their
classy.
brands are dunking. I mean, you look at all this stuff people want to watch sports to escape all this stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're not going to sports to learn about BLM or any of this critical race stuff. And they're not going there for that. They're going there because they love the sport and they want to watch these amazing athletes, do things that obviously they probably can't do. And it is amazing what some of these athletes can do, but
to escape politics.
they're not going there for politics. And now that politics is kind of hijacked and all this information
Everywhere.
Yeah, but they've tanked.
Except
I mean,
church.
you look at what baseball, basketball,
Even that's-
football, all this stuff that has
I
totally
can't watch it anymore. I just
no man.
I
And you
stopped
look at the
watching
numbers.
it
I mean,
20 years ago.
they've
I
dropped
couldn't do it.
40% in a year. I think football one year dropped 40% in 1 year. That's
I love
pretty
basketball.
Big. Me
you guys
too.
are going to hate me because I'm born and raised here, but I lived in Orange County for 17 years.
you're a Lakers fan.
I'm a huge Lakers fan. I loved Kobe. Actually, used to bartend down somewhere where we shared a parking lot. His office was right next door, and so he'd come in for lunch, business meetings and stuff. He would drink a Bacardi and Coke with lime. Usually get the chicken quesadilla, and he was like the only one. I don't get starstruck. I had a business down there. I dealt with celebrities and red carpet events and all that kind of stuff. So, I treat them just like normal people. And I treated him normal too. I'm not saying treat him any differently, but he was one that I was like, I met a lot of different athletes over the years, and I was like, why haven't I met Kobe yet? And then right when he retired is finally when I got to work there and meet him. And so long story short, sorry, I'm going off on a Kobe thing.
But he was
Grew
special.
up watching it, but yeah.
Well,
So
let's talk about Kobe because I think he was special. I think every so often a special person comes.
besides that
comes
one little
and goes.
incident,
Yeah, well, but every
Other
so
than
often
that-
somebody has an energy and aura. There's something about them, and I can't
he was
tell you what it is.
he
But every
knew
so
like
often,
multiple different
yeah,
languages.
you
He
meet
was
somebody, and you're like, man, there's
intelligent.
something about that person.
He had drive. He
Yeah.
wanted to win. He was
Went straight
extremely
to the NBA
competitive.
from high school.
17 years old. Drafted
He
at
was a
17
winner.
years old.
He was a winner.
But yeah, so anywhere I was going with that was that I love basketball. I love Lakers. Loved Kobe. But I have not watched a game since LeBron. I did not like LeBron anyway before. So when he became a Laker, I was already sad. But then when all the political crap came in, I was like, I'm done.
The playoffs went up. I think it was 36 or 38% since LeBron's not involved in it.
Is that right?
It's up big time.
Yeah. For the first time, I didn't mind that the Lakers lost. I was like, oh,
Well, he doesn't
that's-
have two brain cells to rub together. I mean, literally. You listen to the guy. I'm like, dude, I can't even.
Very
I have
athletic.
a story in
Yeah.
Vegas
Oh,
about
he's a
him. I'm
great
not going to put him on
basketball
blast,
player.
but I'll.
You what?
I know something about him, but I will stop.
Well, and I
No
think
censorship
Do
here.
tell.
John,
do tell.
John, thank you for those statistics because that's
Explicit.
that presents the case of this is a minority. That turning from the anthem, minority.
Well, it kind of hit its apex and it's on its way. It did. It had, like back when it was Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Like that stuff, it actually boosted Nike stock and it was crazy. There was this little like boost of billions of dollars spent to make a big boost on this, but they hit their apex. They're like on their down. Now everything they touch is super toxic. You look at it, it's just everything they hijack is going like falling apart.
Yeah.
Like pulled pork.
Well, that's great. Well, I like pulled pork. Let's not do. Don't
like
put them with Nike.
You like it to fall apart too.
Yeah, exactly.
Carnitas.
But no, I love that because sometimes you get lost in what's talked about or what gets the attention, and a lot of times it's the exception. Like I bring up a lot. It's not actually the rule. The majority of people don't actually want to follow that. They don't want to kneel. They're still proud to see the flag. They're still proud to see the anthem. It's a small number. Just like if you look at LGBTQ, it's like
Plus.
Tiny. And the whole percentage, if you just Google what percentage of our American population is that? It's tiny.
Why do you think they're trying to brainwash their kids, though? They want it to not be tiny. They want to expand it and make it
But you
more
can't
common.
get around that.
Yeah.
It's still
We're
an
getting to the
exception.
point where the few rule the many, and that's the problem.
That's a big problem. Yeah.
Or even not to say the few, but the weak. The weak rule is strong, and that sucks. I mean, they're trying to create a playing field that's not even. They don't want an even playing field. They want the strong person to be weak.
Right.
We've said it a lot here that for years most all of us thought that we were the minority because that's what the media portrays,
You would
that
think.
most people are liberal in their views socially and all that. But I think like the liberals, they're not even the problem anymore. It's the Marxists that have kind of taken over the Democratic Party.
I never thought I would see somebody like Bill Maher saying stuff that I totally agree with.
Same. I share his stuff.
I'm just saying.
Like, what?
And look, Joe Rogan.
Really?
Joe Rogan used to be a straight up liberal, and
Oh, God.
he's
Not
been
anymore. Not anymore.
not anymore. And it's just like so. You're right though, and these people who are true liberals, who are good people that want
free speech.
they
like
want
a lot
all
of those
these values that most of us can agree on. They're starting to go, well, we're not going to be a part of this thing.
I'm sorry, I'm going to call it both sides because
Yeah.
the right have been spineless, either ignorant, lazy, busy, cowards, whatever.
Yep.
Oh,
Sorry.
absolutely.
I am so disgusted with the lack of, you know what? Okay. I'm going to go back to the COVID crap real quick. The COVID stuff. I was obviously upset about everything has been going on this whole time. But you know what upsets me even worse? I could not believe, especially coming back to Shasta County. Now, Orange County is actually still conservative. They lied in the Trump election, tried to say it flipped blue. I just moved away, did not. It is still red. But anyway, coming back to Shasta County, which I was always very proud of, living down there, I'd be like, when Trump, the only rally that Trump had in the state of California that had no Antifa violence, nobody attacked, was here in Redding. And I was so proud of that. And I was always like, my hometown, this and that. And then I moved back and this stuff comes down, and to see the compliance and the weakness and the fear and the cowardiceness, I'm like, I'm a female and I got more than most of you men in this grocery store. I'm the only one not wearing a mask right now. And they're just walking by. That makes me more angry than the people that are putting this onto us and subjecting us to this, because they're evil. So we should expect that from them.
No, I agree.
But then
100%.
when you see that evil, you stand up to it. But you expect it because you're like, okay, that's evil, and we see what you're doing, but we're supposed to be pushing back.
Right.
And instead, that's worse to me when you see it and you sit back and do nothing. And the worst thing that gets me is the children. And for a while there, I was like, stop, don't be judging the people wearing masks, because that's what we want, right? We want the freedom of choice. We want to be able to not wear a mask, and you respect that. So then if you wear a mask, I should respect that. And then I got to the point where I was like, no, because you know what you're doing? You're representing.
You're perpetuating,
yes.
and you're complicit in this whole deal now.
Exactly. And then to see the children, half of it breaks my heart and half of it disgusts me. I want to go up to those parents and be like,
It's
you're disgusting. It's child abuse, and you are allowing it, and you're being complicit, and you're setting this example for your children instead of setting an example of standing up against the new norm and what's popular or what's accepted. That's what really gets me. And so the right for me, like, I almost wanted to just go back to independent from Republican because I'm so disgusted. But then again, that's why I think Trump was so popular.
And I think most of us probably identify.
Yeah.
None of us are rhinos.
Conservative.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
conservative.
I'm
Constitutional
conservative,
yeah.
conservative.
Same.
Because those rhino Republicans, we've talked about this before. They're like you expect the bad guys to be bad guys,
Yeah.
but you go into this situation where you've got your buddies with you, and a bar fight breaks out,
And they're in the car.
And all of a sudden they duck out the back door. That's like what these rhinos
Yeah,
are. You know, it's
that's
like you thought they were
exactly-
there fighting with you, but they're not. They're
Yeah.
cowards.
Well, and I think it's so infuriating because that is the core of why evil's gotten so far right now.
Yep. Edmund Burke, one of my favorite quotes. The only, oh great, now I'm going to mess it up. It's for good men to do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way evil can exist if good men do nothing or something.
Right,
Now I'm messing
right.
it up.
Yeah.
But
So it's
For
it's
anyone to succeed is for good.
it's everybody's
Yeah.
call. You know, if you can see that and you have that little bit of inkling in you, light it on fire, let it burn, and start making a move on however you can. People closest to you, let's do that for a start.
And you're never alone. There's so many people,
Yeah.
many people
Absolutely.
that feel the way we feel, that want the things that we want. You know, it's a powerful movement.
you know, when I went to do that sex ed sit out, and I said I don't care if I stand alone, if I'm standing out by myself, I'm still going to show up and do it. Stephanie confided in me that she wanted to do the sex ed sit out, but that was her fear. She was like, I was afraid to
Yep.
stand alone.
Yep.
So when I found out somebody was doing it nearby, she was so excited. And then she came out to me and was like, I have so much respect for you. Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to do it. And I'm just, you know, and that's the kind of stuff that, and now look at her. I mean, she went, I am so proud of her. She's come from like, does not want to public speak, you know, did not want to stand alone, to now she's this ferocious mama bear that has this movement that's just grown. And she is just, I love her.
Which was that tiny flame, and she said,
Yeah.
"I'm going with it. I'm
Yeah.
going to let that
It
fire
inspired
burn."
her.
You know, yeah, heck yeah.
And that's,
Do you
that's
know-
the thing too. You never know who you're going to inspire, right? When we have these conversations, when you talk to your friends, you know, they might at first seem like they're not interested or seem like, hey, you know what, it's not really my deal. But you might say just the right thing or have enough emotion or passion,
Plant a seed.
in your voice,
Yeah.
that inspires them. That really lights that fire for
Yeah.
them to say, hey, you know what, I kind of feel that way too. I'm
Yeah.
pretty pissed off about that as well.
And we fortify that in our small circles, and then we're getting more and more of the majority to take action. Yeah. I think-
So what are you active in now, Rebecca? What have you been
red,
doing?
white, and blue. Oh,
What have you been doing lately?
Too?
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm going to be taking signatures tomorrow, the next
yeah.
day, from 9 to 12. I believe at Walmart. It was Cedar Tree, and now it's Walmart, but it's kind of, I think it's still Walmart. So, but
Me and
recalling the 3 board of supervisors.
Yeah.
I spoke that night, by the way. As my first, I just moved back. I think was that 2018 or 2019?
19.
19. So I just moved December 2018. So
right before all the,
no, it was 2020.
2020.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So
okay, no. So I was here about a year and a half. Anyway, I spoke that night, but I stood in line 3 hours. I heard you got to cut. But anyway, I'm just kidding.
I called Carlos the night before and told him to come, and I got off work and went out the back of the line, and then Carlos got. Alyssa was like, "You're
and
speaking
He'd
first."
even offered to give me his speech.
No, I
you
was like,
know?
"Carlos, can you do my speech because
And
you're
I'm
so
like,
good
"No."
at
I
talking?"
said,
And he's
"I'm
like,
not
"No,
doing this."
I'm off the
Yes,
cuff.
no,
I didn't
man.
plan any of it.
no." I didn't
Ever.
even think Carlos showed up, and I was like, "Screw Carlos." He didn't even show up, and then everyone's like, "Did you hear Carlos's speech?" And I was like, "What?"
Fuck that guy. Gee.
Yeah,
what
that was
did you
pretty cool.
what did you talk on that night?
I spoke about it was the whole. I think it was about the whole COVID, the shutdown, the lockdowns, and everything, and masks and
We
everything.
were all pissed.
Yeah. And I gave I thought, I was sitting there and I was like, what am I going to say? And I'm really bad about planning ahead. So I was like, I never have, even when I spoke on the Orange County Board of Education back then, I just went up there and spoke.
Well,
But,
that's the best sometimes. It's from the heart. You know?
yeah. So I gave my personal experience that, you know, my son, who is my baby, I mean, he's just graduated high school, but, you know, we went through a tough time. I went through brain surgery and divorce at the same time, amongst many other hardships that year. 2015 was really rough. And so when all that happened, my son, he's my only son. I have all daughters, and my only son, he's a baby.
He had brain surgery, or you had brain surgery?
I had brain surgery. And so, and he was afraid I was going to die, and then going through divorce. And it was just a really tumultuous time. And he was, like I said, my only boy. And so I watched him play baseball and basketball and soccer growing up. And I couldn't wait till I got to high school to watch him play. And then he lost interest in sports, you know, because of everything. And I was really sad about that. But I thought, okay, we have some time, gets into high school, doesn't want to play any sports still. And I'm like, please, you're my only boy. Like, come on. Finally decides, hey, mom, I want to play baseball. I'm trying to play it cool because I don't want, you know, I'm like, oh crap. Sorry.
That's all
All right.
You're
So
good.
then I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, you know. And so he starts playing baseball, and then the season gets shut down to COVID. And I started getting choked up in there because it was from the heart. It wasn't planned, but I just thought I'm going to share a personal experience. Hopefully, I can reach these people's hearts of like, look at what
If they
people
have
are
them.
going through.
Yeah.
You know, and now look, he's graduated, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I never
What
got
a
to see my
shame.
son. And that sounds like something simple, but
It's not. I
It's
mean,
not.
that's hard stuff. That's soul stuff. That's things that
Yeah.
that's time that we're not going to get back.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Downplaying that is not doing anybody a favor.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to process it and move on, but that's a huge deal, and that was an impact that's going to be felt for a long time.
And
Yep.
team sports are important for a kid. It's important to be part. I mean, I love individual sports too, wrestling, all that too. But being a part of a team and working together towards a goal,
Team building skills is
man, that's
really important.
super important.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Just to miss out on that, I I had a buddy that he passed away of cancer. He was one of the best guys I ever knew, but he put together teams. They flew him all around the country, and he would build for probation departments. He'd build computer programs and build these teams, teach them how to use them, and all this stuff. And he told me one time he weighed like 120 pounds, and since he was a kid, he wanted to play high school football. He just never grew. Finally, his senior year, he's like, heck with it. I'm going to play football. So he bulked up to 135. Played football. Finally, the last game of the season, the crowd started chanting his name almost like that Rudy movie. So he trots out there and gets to be on a kickoff and stuff. But he said that 1 year of football taught me more about team building and how to accomplish goals than I learned in all my years of college.
And himself.
Well, that's
I mean, how
amazing.
hard he had to work to get to there.
Yeah,
So you respect the other teammate.
exactly.
Well, the thing about sports and competition is you're going to face hardship, and nothing binds people together, creates teams like shared misery, shared hardship.
Oh, yeah.
It's a truth.
Mutual suffering.
Yeah, mutual suffering.
That's what COVID did.
Yeah.
And these supervisors that made those decisions and voted the wrong way. They glued us all together.
galvanized us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely.
I never thought about that, but that's a great point.
Oh, yeah.
We should be thanking them in a lot of ways,
Well,
for that opportunity.
There is a lot of good we can find in it. Like the good and failure you're talking about or losing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good, and we lost some things that season. It's huge. Moms shouldn't forget that stuff.
Sure.
And get it right for the next mom. Say, hey, I don't want my, fellow mothers to face that same thing for their son.
I was mad. I was like, why don't we just get a team together and play anyway? But
That
no
sounds
one
like
really wanted to do
my
it.
wife.
wanna do
My
it.
wife,
That's what I
Karina
said.
said that. She's like, "Why are we waiting for them to
Yeah.
put the league
That's
together?"
Exactly.
our field. It's we can't
Yeah.
use the field. That's our field. We pay for it.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we just go
We
there?
were literally in talks to start leagues, and it just started creeping open. Is that we were going to do it?
Yeah, they caught wind.
Oh, I guess I don't know, but she was the same way. Like, I'm tired of waiting. Why are
Yeah.
we waiting for them? Those are I pay the taxes for those things for my children. Those are our fields.
Yep. So next
can't
thing I
keep
want to
us-
focus on, obviously this recall is hugely important, but I want to start trying to attend board meetings again, school board meetings. And there's a huge public school exit going on right now. There's actually a website. I want to say public exit. I'm going to mess it
Plexit.
up. I got to look it up.
A Plexit?
But no, is it Plexit?
No,
He's joking.
I was like, no.
there's Lexit, which is Latinos exiting Democratic
Oh
Party.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
No, but
know.
this is a public school exit, and I do believe that
Can't say
that's
that one.
where it needs to, like, public schools altogether, just all around, are just not good anymore. Like, you either need to homeschool, like you said, private school, or what we're looking at is trying to put something together ourselves, like
Yeah.
families
We're doing it.
and parents. Yeah,
If you didn't know, at the gym we're calling it a family enrichment program.
good. That's what.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We've already started.
We have to
already
pull our
getting
kids.
staff together. There's teachers that are sick of it too, that are tired of sitting around these and listening to these bosses and
Mm-hmm.
other teachers that wear space helmets during COVID.
yeah.
They can't work in that environment anymore. So they're coming over, and they're willing to be that bold to teach kids, because they see that after we're fighting this fight, we're going to have to teach our kids to
That's what we need
perpetuate
to
it
do.
and keep it going.
Are you
So,
going to do it in that big area that we've gone and had events at?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Heck yeah.
And this isn't a plug
beautiful.
for that. It's just that
No,
it's
no,
possible.
So what?
There-
Plug it.
yeah.
You don't want to
There's-
plug it, or you're going to end up with a waiting list a mile
Yeah.
long.
Well, and there's other
Yep.
places in town that are doing the same thing, and they're
Adventure Academy is pretty
Adventure
good.
Academy is doing it, and you gets a ton of buzz. And you look at the numbers of kids that are actually in it, and it's actually pretty low. They have a lot of room to grow.
It happened in Cottonwood too. They rented the community center and hired some retired school teachers,
Yeah,
a bunch of families, and there was like 15 or 20 kids.
Yeah.
But I bet you this year there'll be three times that.
and it's simple. You just don't call it a school,
Yeah.
and it's not. I'm not I'm not a principal. Neither is my wife. We're not taking over education.
How do you get around the legal stuff as far as
The parents are still they fully
they're
take
homeschooling.
responsibility for homeschool.
I was just
They
gonna
are
say
a private
homeschool.
homeschool, and
Yeah.
and you go in. It's not a big deal to
group
get that
homeschool. I
done.
like that.
You
Yep.
formalize that.
Everybody just pitches in.
and then you get some parents together, and they pitch in, and they
Yep.
have similar
that's fantastic.
beliefs
All
and
my
philosophies.
kids are grown, so I can help out.
Yeah, no, and
The
it's
kids need the interaction too, I mean,
Yes.
that's the
Yes.
thing about homeschool. If you're totally isolated and you don't have a lot of friends and you just homeschool your kids, and that's why it's good to have things where your kids can still, because we do homeschool, but then we also do
Social
adventure
activities.
we do Adventure Academy 3 days a week, and we make
Perfect.
sure
Yep.
to social. We want to get our kids hanging out
yeah,
with as many
camps.
other
It's
kids as we
basically
can.
it's like an ongoing camp type thing, and that's what we need to start creating. And that's the thing. Don't wait. There's a huge machine that needs to move right now. Your kids can't wait. They're in it right now. So make a move. It's going to be uncomfortable, and there's a lot of
the state's already trying to squash
homeschool.
They've been
homeschool and the charter school. There's some new
Yep.
legislation
Because
that
there's
a
so many people
principal
leaving
told me about.
Yeah, there's so many leaving, and
Exactly.
get in while you can, and put the pressure on them so
Yeah.
that they can't just keep forcing things down our throat. It's very important.
So real quick, because I know we probably have to wrap up soon, but on the CRT, this is what Stephanie sent me. It says a couple little snippets. It says last year, Santa Clara County held a teacher training on how to deploy, quote, ethnic studies in schools. The leaders began the presentation with a, quote, land acknowledgement, claiming that the public schools occupy the unceded territory of the, I'm not going to say this right, Muwekma Ohlone, I don't even know, nation. The presenters claim that America is a system of oppression based on the invasion of white male settlers and exists as long as settlers are living on appropriated land. White males brought white supremacy, patriarchy, classism, genocide, private property, and God. And it goes on.
Also responsible for ending slavery, but I don't know. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, and there's
And it says the panelists advise local teachers to hide this political program from administrators and parents. District guidelines and expectations are barriers, said one panelist. We have to be extra careful now that we're in people's homes because of remote learning.
Do they know Native Americans weren't native to America, though? They do realize
That's a
they
whole
came
nother-
across through Russia, across into Alaska, and migrated down here, right? And all across history, lands have been fought over, and they make it sound like that this was a one-time deal that some
Well, history's
One
history,
country
conquest,
got-
and conquering and
Exactly.
being conquered. And
There's always been conquerors.
I've never had a problem with that. Listen, again, we become so weak. Everybody wants a victim somewhere. We want somebody to blame. Somebody to take fault. It's like, look, history's history. It's not always pretty.
Have you seen the cartoons they're doing on the critical race theory? Have you seen that? They're teaching pre-kindergarten, so preschool even pre-kindergarten. It's all these cartoons, and just like she was talking about with the sex ed, except for it's like it shows like a white person with a white person. It's like bad. And then it shows a white person with a black person or a person, and they're like good. And then they go, I'm telling you, it is off. You got to look at these cartoon images that they're teaching kids in preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. It is, man, I just read it yesterday for the first time. It's brand new stuff to me, but
Here's my thing. Can't we just be kind to each other, regardless of race or where
Exactly.
we come from? It's not that hard. Let's all be nice to each
They
other.
want us divided. That's the only reason they
sorry
bring it
this-
up.
I'm sorry this happened to your ancestors. I'm sorry that this happened to yours. It's like, can we just get over all that shit?
And we've
Just-
all been through
just get
something.
along,
Nobody's.
I'm not even
Spared.
sorry. I wasn't a part of any of it. So
I'm sorry it happened.
Yeah,
But
sorry to break it to you guys, but if you were born in America, you are more privileged than a lot of other places in the world, because there's places where they don't have toilets, they don't got running water, sewer systems to go
I've
along
been
with
on
the
a mission
toilets.
trip and-
I mean,
They're
they're
not trying to make
relying
me
on
feel guilty, are you, John?
people are starving to death. Millions of people are starving to death. I'm trying to make you feel guilty, Woody, right now. But I mean, if you were born in America, give me a break, dude. What do you got to cry about?
Oh, yeah.
Go somewhere else
Be
and
thankful.
help somebody in another country, that actually needs help.
And we have tried our best to right wrongs. I feel like we have as a society, as a people, we have. What more do you want? Here's the deal. You're never going to be woke enough. You're never going to give them enough money, enough reparations. There's nothing
It just
that you
be-
can
it's
actually
enabling.
give them. That's all. That's all.
yeah, it's bad for them.
But like, what amount of money? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, how much bootlicking do you want me to do for you to feel good about yourself? Like at some point.
And that's what it comes down to.
come on,
Dude, one of them's
They're
called
not happy
the
within
Wo-
themselves.
Nope.
They don't have any
That's it.
sense of identity, who they are,
Exactly.
where they come from,
Yeah.
why they exist, what their purpose is.
Well, it used to be patriotism. A lot of that. And, and as that's been erased, you've seen those other things kind of perpetuate, run out of control.
It's racist to be a patriot now.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Guys, we do have to wrap up. Let's talk about some housekeeping stuff here. So we do have signature collecting going on tomorrow.
Oh yeah, every
Every
day.
day.
Every day.
All
different locations.
We were out there today.
Yeah.
Me and Jesse were with Kelly and Catherine and out at Jay's Market, and they're going to be there. I think Kelly's going to be there 3 or 4 days this week, and then there's some going to be at Walmart. It sounds like maybe
I'll be there
holiday.
9 to 12 tomorrow morning. For I believe the Anderson Walmart.
I think Jesse was secretly hoping someone would come in there and slap him upside the head.
I know.
Told him he should have dressed up as Catherine.
A coward's not going to go walk up to Jesse and try and slap him.
No, let's put a Kathy mask on Jesse.
Yeah, that'll work.
I think God's protected me.
Yeah.
Not just the other person, but myself as well, because I'm like, I wish somebody would. Like, I see the stories about the mask where they come up and throw some hot coffee or pepper spray them, like in LA or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I wish somebody, I'm like waiting.
Come on, do it.
Somebody, please. But I'm like, no, that's not nice.
So 7 days a week from 8 to 6 at Northern Roots. We collect signatures there for all 3 districts. So if you want to come and recall Rickert, Modier, Comenti, come on in, Northern Roots from 8 to 6, 7 days a week.
Awesome. Yep. I got him at the barbershop too. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Woody's is, what days are you open, Woody?
Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday. What's your hours?
8 to 5, Saturday 8 to 2.
There you go.
Come
So
on.
I'm going to get a local
Get a
plug.
haircut.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know if this podcast is going to come out before this dinner, but Friday, July 2nd, we're having another Patriot dinner. It's going to be fun out at the Gover Ranch.
So that is like this Saturday.
Friday.
This Friday. This Friday. So in 5 days.
Yeah.
You have my tickets. I got to come get them.
Yep, you got to come. We also have tickets to this event coming up at Northern Roots.
We got them here too.
I'll have them at Country
Okay, grab two
Strong.
here then.
Country
Okay,
Strong
cool.
Country Strong will be selling tickets.
at the barber
At the
shop.
barbershop. Yep.
Does Mike Dill have them?
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
Okay.
Okay, I want to let you guys know and join Informed Parents of Shasta County. It's the local subgroup of Informed Parents of
Say that
California.
one more time.
Informed Parents of Shasta County.
Informed
Is that a Facebook
Parents
group?
of
Yep,
Shasta
Facebook.
County.
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you,
right.
Rebecca.
Rebecca, thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you so
for
much.
having me.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks
guys.
for having me.
Bye.